let me, before y'all go, Ron, this stack belongs to you. Valerie? Yeah. This stack belongs to you. And no, this Valerie stack here. This is Ron. Whose stack is this? This is Ron's stack. Okay. That's almost okay. This stack, this stack belongs to Ron. This stack belongs to Valerie. This stack, these are here right now. It's two or three priorities I want to. It's not going to want to. Y'all got my say already?
Okay, Mr. Williams, we're ready.
Okay, you gonna ask the questions. Okay, because I don't have a list of them. Good. Do we need the nonviolent movement? Really is you're trying to redeem. You're trying to extend love. You're trying to obliterate or eliminate hatred, which results in violence. I mean, nonviolence really was mainly adopted from the life of Christ. As Dr. King used to say that that hate destroys, which results in violence, but hate destroys the person that hates much worse than it destroys the person that's being hated. And in the nonviolent movement, through the redemption, okay, I'm sorry, it's the same thing. The nonviolent movement really was adopted out of the life of Jesus Christ. Nonviolence means love to overcome hatred which results in violence. And through the nonviolent process, there's an effort to redeem the person that's hating or perpetrating violence. In other words, Dr. King used to say, the power of nonviolence was you really prove that your body can take more punishment than the person that hate you or perpetrate violence can put upon your body. And it worked. You know, I was a very violent man. I met Martin Luther King Jr., but I think the way out of our dilemmas or out the world dilemmas is through nonviolence. But it really teaches love. Now, it does. A lot of people used to accuse Dr. King of every place he go, violence would erupt. It does uncover and expose the violence that exists there that may be camouflaged. But really, nonviolence brings about peace and tranquility. And even through big movements like Birmingham and Selma and places like that, you probably find more racial harmony and more love in those communities today, and you'll find maybe in any communities in America. Next question. Really, the nonviolent demonstrations at the convention will be the poor people of America trying to get their grievances or the thing that's important to them addressed. Usually, they say you can't take politics out of politics, and wealth or money usually control. And about the only acceptable device that poor people, not just black people, but that poor people have of getting their needs addressed is through nonviolent demonstrations. And I think that is much to Dr. King's credit, because before then, people used to bust up conventions and a lot of blood was spilled and a lot of hatred erupt. But through the nonviolent process, you do get sympathy, because what is right in our society and what's wrong really is determined by public sentiment. So that's the way the masses of the poor people, that's the mean that they will use, and we'll be with them to get their grievances addressed by the power structure of the Democratic Convention. Other than that, they probably would just ignore the poor and really address the needs of the rich. There's no question about it. The police, the law enforcement agents, are put in a very difficult position. First, they are human. And police, just like civil rights people, politicians, preachers. Uh, Everybody is not good. They're always around. You know, I talk about Jesus, smart as he was, chose 12, and 2 of those guys turned out to be bad guys. But one of the things the police need to do, they really need to prepare themselves mentally. They need to talk to themselves privately and psychologically, you know, before even going to bed at night, getting up in the morning, because it is a very, very difficult position they're put in. Number one, there's always some bad elements among those demonstrators. There's always someone that will try to use the nonviolent demonstration to provoke the police. That's why the organizers of the nonviolent demonstration ought to always have well-prepared marshals, because the problem between nonviolent demonstrators and police, it never takes place hardly up front. Only one place I can remember that Chicago, but not even then, because usually somebody back in that crowd would throw something at the police, curse, abuse, make a police angry, and it's really intentional to get conflict going. But we usually have well-trained marshals, and anybody start that stuff, we grab them out of the marches, and if you want to fight the police, you go over there, that's you. But don't you use this nonviolent movement to get your point over or to provoke conflict between us and the police. That's one thing they have to work. There are bad elements that will emerge within the nonviolent demonstration. That's why one of the things the police should really do, they should really converse with the leaders. That should definitely be a communication, because our conflict is not with the police. That's not our conflict. The police is not our problem. We don't have no problem with the police. Our problem really those politicians inside who's making the decision. So the police really ought to converse with the leaders of those demonstrations. Now, what are your intentions? Where you're going? We need to know about how long, how many going to be in your crowd. And I don't think any authentic leaders of nonviolent demonstration have any problem communicating with the police. Because the problem that the police usually will have, if they have a problem, it comes usually at the rear of those demonstrations. People plant themselves back there. These militant groups and people that are not committed to nonviolence, and that's one of the things. The other thing is the police overreacting. Now, this overreacting. A lot of times, the police believe they do have to meet nonviolent force with military force. And I don't know in our demonstration the time that has ever been necessary, because we have never fought back, although I've been beaten severely many times, and it was because the police overreact. And that creates a very dangerous situation, because I have taken a beating, because nonviolence is very hard to, it's hard to stand up there and take a beating. And most people are not committed to nonviolence as a philosophy. You know, they are committed to it to carry out that demonstration as a means to an end, but not as a philosophy. So a lot of people back in that line, they are afraid too. And I know police have fear, and these people have fear. And once the police overreact and sees out beating up a guy like me, and if I'm ignorant enough to retaliate in the police, that just unleashes the wishes of all of these people back here who does not understand the philosophy of nonviolence. And I think police ought to be very careful and overreactive. I know they have to do their job. And they ought to watch for troublemakers in that crowd. And I think a lot of times it would be good if you see a troublemaker, Hosea, it's somebody back there angering the police, throwing a brick up. And I always get very upset with particular men who will use women and children in a nonviolent movement and hide behind them, because you find most of the time those guys who will start trouble with the police, they disappear, so this conflict comes. If I had one thing to say to police officers from across the state, it would be, let's use this moment to project our state, which in my estimation is destined to become the greatest state in this nation. And let's not allow ourselves to overreact or provoke or be provoked to create a situation that will bring shame on the state that really will end up costing our children, our grandchildren. Let's use this moment to promote Georgia, what Georgia really is, one of the greatest states in this nation that would aid and abet our children and the future of this state for many, many years to come.